Space Marine veterans are pretty cool, right? But Blade Guard, I just don't like them. Is it because they're intricate details, skulls everywhere, extra armor bits? I don't know, to be honest. But it's even worse for my faction. So today I'm gonna try to make my own Dark Angels Blade Guard veterans for my first playable 40k army that's gonna stand out and look unique. Just be warned, this is gonna be a fucking roller coaster, so buckle in, you're in for a ride. The first thing to fix here are the bodies. I don't like them. The skulls are annoying. There are way too many adornments here. I could have just cut them off and Dremel them out, send them out, but I thought I'd take advantage of some spare parts from Black Templars and use those. And for the boss, I used an Emperor's Champion, which is pretty cool. In this kit batch, I made several mistakes in painting. I was too cocky and used a wrong and rushed approach. I picked the wrong colors and also I had wrong tools because I opened up new brushes and I didn't feel comfortable with them, and that ruined the experience for me. Here is pretty simple. I just build the bodies models regularly, add in some missing armor parts. I then clean everything and glue all the parts together, and gluing the models themselves on temporary basis because I was thinking that I could do something special with the bases, but I didn't have time, so I guess I'm just putting on a temporary base. This is a very simple kit bash. I'm not good at kit bashing, but I think between the little kit bash and the painting, the models are gonna look much better than the OGs. You'll be the judge of that. Among the whole mess that will be making. Second thing to fix here, the shields. Even here, there are way too many adornments. I just don't like them. I like to have space for either freehands or just using the beautiful decals Games Workshop provides. I use a knife and a Dremel to just peel off this sculpt here. Just be careful not to cut yourself. Here a Dremel is very useful, but certainly not necessary. Mostly just use my knife and sandpaper. I think I'm using 200 grits here. And yeah, it's not perfect. It's gonna need some milliput to fix the holes. It'll do. It doesn't have to be perfect. Perfectionism is the other thing that ruined the experience for me, especially in the painting, because I wanted this paint job to look cool for the video, but also I didn't plan my approach. I was cocky, and the perfectionist in me didn't allow me to just cut corners. Just a quick reminder that if you like the content so far, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind later. I am trying to go full-time with this. It's a dream of mine, so any support you can get is well appreciated. Whether it's just a subscription on my channel or Patreon or private coaching. Thank you, bitch! And now for the terrifying but not so terrifying part, which was sculpting the hoods using some milliput. I just mixed the two parts together and rolled it on a piece of plastic, thinking that was enough not to make it stick. I was wrong. To make it not stick, you can use some baby powder both on the surface you're rolling on and on your rolling pin, just like making pasta dough. And the thickness that you want is pretty much the same as ravioli, so pretty thin. And here I follow 5 simple steps. If I can do it, you can too. Step 1 is cut it to size. Step 2 is place such piece that you cut to size on the head of your Space Marine. Step 3 is to secure the back of the hood. Don't overthink the shape here, it's not really that important. And also it's not important you create like folds and cool looking stuff. You just have to link it to the back. But step 4 is very important because here you have to create a good looking fold, and I just started to pinch the piece of milliput and create that fold that I want. And step 5 is to perfect and secure this good looking fold near the head of the Space Marine. You can use a old airbrush needle for this. This is very convenient to use. It wasn't as difficult as I thought it would, but I really got better with practice, even within these 3 models. I don't like the sculpts from the Dark Angel supplements. I didn't like the Travarian version as well. Kind of has that none feeling. So yeah, I decided to sculpt my own. I let the milliput dry, and then I fixed a little bit the area where it wasn't like even and it looked weird. I then sand it out once it was dry, and my hoods are done. And I'm really happy with them. The last part that I wanted to kit bash were the swords. Figured I'd just sculpt some regular Dark Angels swords. But let's be honest, I'm not there yet, and it was a complete failure, so fuck it, let's move on to painting. So, for the painting, I started with a base coat of dark brown, and woo, here comes a pain, because this paint job was a thorn in my bloody side. I choose to be real honest about this because I don't want you guys to think that someone who paints professionally like me don't like screw up from time to time, or like pretty much all the time, because I'm me. Get super frustrated and get tempted to throw the mini out the window. I could have edited all this out and presented you with the clean process, but I want you to actually learn from my mistakes. Speaking of, I already committed 2 mistakes here. Let's leave the first one for later and focus on the second one now, which is layering up. I was supposed to have it together because I painted my Deathwing Terminator with this exact palette. I didn't. Turns out I had no idea what I was doing. This was the worst. The paint didn't do what I wanted it to, and it looks better on video, but it was painful. And I'm thinking right now, there's also a mistake that I'm missing. Probably doing with the base coat application with the airbrush. I think it went on too thick, and that created more problems. And trust me, I didn't want more problems because I was already busy with my other 5 mistakes that I made in this. In a bit here I will try to fix the first mistake that I made. Let me tell you what was wrong while I finish this part. I basically used the wrong base coat for my miniatures, and it's all AK Interactive fault. The big issue that I'm having with them recently is some colors, way too many colors, they look the same. Which means I got confused, I used the wrong brown, I used the brown that was too gray, and when I went on and built up with the Compass Flash, it got very gray and desaturated. So here I'm trying to win back that saturation with some glazes with mud brown, which is a kind of a yellowish brown. I'm adding some saturation in the shadow as well, mixing burnt red with chocolate brown. Okay, let's move on to yet another mistake. I don't know if you noticed, I started the base coat on the hoods and the green was too light, so I darkened it down and I started layering lighter green, trying to do this pattern here, which I thought it would look cool, but it didn't. Also, it's fair to mention that I'm starting a Dark Angels army and I still have no idea on how to paint green. Came out a little bit desaturated. I just didn't like it, so I just went with red magenta, like the Dark Angels inner circle, and I think that made my blade guard stand out even more, and I was happy with the color. But don't worry, I did struggle here as well. You don't need to hear about it, okay? Because at this point it's getting embarrassing, okay? For the power sword, I started sketching the lights. What a surprise! I didn't place enough thought into where I put these reflections. I just continue blending like nothing happened, and I only realized that they look like shit when I glazed over with some contrast paint, tinting them in like bluish tone. So yeah, but we don't need to talk about that, okay? I don't want to talk about it, okay? The only thing missing at this point were the shields, and you're thinking, yeah, she's gonna screw that up as well. But gotcha! No, not here. These shields were great. I was able to sketch out some checker patterns on the shield with some bleached bone color of the armor, and I was able to find a good way to volumetrically highlight the shield and also find the right green for the green part. The trick was just using a little bit of saturation on the lights and using up like a brighter green, focusing on light distribution to make it appear not like salamanders, because that was my main concern, to be honest. Finally, I'm done. I was gonna paint all three, but no, you get just the one, okay? That's all I'm getting, so make it work. And here's the final reveal. I guess that you're missing some parts here because I didn't quite explain all the blending and volumetric highlighting on the armor. So if you want to know how I did that, you can take a look at this video, which has all the solution for you, with some cringy storytelling in the middle. Just ignore that, okay? Will ya? Please ignore.